May I have your attention, please? We are in today for a very special treat here at the IBM National Convention at Norfolk. We have in attendance today Alexandria the Great, otherwise known as Donna Purnell, a world-class escape artist and one of the only women in magic willing to attempt actual death-defying escapes. A world record holder of at least 7 world records, called the modern-day Houdini by the Fox News Channel. Today's show said this is not sleight of hand, this is the real thing, this is dangerous. CBS Evening News called her the housewife Houdini, and Penn and Teller said that she creates real drama and that Teller loves it. And without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, I give you Alexandria the Great!
Hi everyone, happy 4th of July. I'm honored to be here in front of what Jack White says, the grandest magic organization in the world. I want to do today for you my underwater leap of faith. In many ways, this escape represents my leap of faith in what I'm going to do today. My husband, Bill, my partner, will be able to tell you a little bit more about our escape, or my escape, and a little bit more about me. What I'm going to do today for IBM, knowing that all of you are what you do for a living and the greatest magicians in the world, I wanted to turn it up a notch. So what I'm doing today is an escape that no one has ever done before, no woman has ever done before or attempted, and I'm hoping that it will be something new and extraordinary. I also hope that, I know it's going to take my breath away, and I hope it takes your breath away as well. So I'm going to turn it over to my husband, Bill. Thank you.
I also want to make sure that obviously we appreciate you coming over here. Because of the fact, we're going to kind of do this old style. We're going to do this acoustic. The hotel was a little concerned about electricity near the pool, so this is going to be Alex Unplugged. So this actually might be the most appropriate way to do this, though. If you think about Harry Houdini and when he did this, he didn't have an ability to be able to do all this. He actually kind of went out and got to the crowds. If you know, and again, I will not lecture you about Harry Houdini, I'm assuming everyone's pretty much an expert in that, but we all know that Harry didn't start out as being the escape artist that he was. As a matter of fact, it's something that he evolved into. Harry was first king of cards. When Harry was doing his act, the crowds begin to dwindle. That's a trick that no magician wants to do, make his audience disappear. So Harry was forced to reinvent himself. He actually went through and looked at some of the things that he did and did well. Harry was an apprentice with a locksmith, was amazing with locks. He also was an amazing athlete. He actually was a runner, had an ability to be able to hold his breath, unusual at the time, and actually was a sideshow performer in actually a circus, and he did a tank performance called the Guild Man. Think about that later on down the line when Harry does kind of tank things, again, like whether it be the water torture cell or whether it be the milk can. But in terms of kind of reinventing himself, when Harry began to start adding to his act, he used handcuffs. Martin Beck, who was actually an agent at the time, moved him, was really excited about what he did. He went through all of Europe. But think about it, when he was trying to do his act, there was no social media. He couldn't just tweet. He couldn't just throw something on Facebook to get people there. So he actually took from what was the master in terms of social media at that point, P.T. Barnum. When P.T. did something, the circus came to town, what happened? It was a parade right through the middle. Harry needed to make some type of big splash. So what Harry did was developed the underwater escape. He did it out of necessity. To get people to his shows, he needed something, pardon the pun, big splash. And so Harry decided to take those handcuffs and his ability to be able to hold his breath and put them together. He would do what he called bridge jumps. He would jump into the bridge with a pair of handcuffs and get out in seconds. people were amazed. It was word of mouth marketing at its very best, and it filled up the shows. Today we're going to try to jump forward now in terms of this. Alex, we're big Houdini fans. A lot of times when escape artists do that, they kind of go at Harry. We don't. We think he was absolutely amazing and someone who was before his time. We actually try to do our part in terms of kind of preserving Harry by not copying what he does, but to try to go beyond. So today you're going to get a chance to see really what this is. Alex is going to try to go beyond. She's going to do something that no woman has done in terms of the amount of chains and shackles, and we'll do that in a second with your help. She's also going to try to do something that's very unique, and that's what she talked about in terms of how she actually accomplished the escape. And we'll talk in a few minutes about why Chesapeake Bay Diving Center is here, and Malena Sharkey is here as our safety diver to be able to try to help us do this well. Before we do this, I want to give Alex a chance to get wet. I want to tell you a little bit about a story about how we got here just real quick. Alex and I, this is my junior prom date. When we were kids, we both loved magic. Alex, though, in looking at it in the 70s and 80s, there were not very many women in magic. There were few female magicians. There were even fewer female escape artists. And so when we started to do this, as obviously guys do, I kind of showed her my ability. I did an underwater escape with rope. Came up, said, hey, what do you think? She goes, that's really cool, I can do that. I'm like, no you can't. I read, you can't possibly do this. She jumped in and did it. It blew me away. At that point, I was like, hey, let's go and do this. At that point, she was 17 and was like, you know what? I'm going to be a teacher. I'm going to have a real life. We're not going to do this. So we put it on hold. She was a teacher. She then switched to be a daycare provider. She did that for 16 years. I tried to convince her that this would be a good thing. Hers was like, if it's a daycare, what am I going to tell somebody I'm tied up for the moment? And that really is the case. Who's going to leave us with the kids? So we had to put it on hold. Alex ended up at that point, she actually lost a couple of jobs. In 2009, I kind of went to her. 5 years earlier, we had an event, there was an event called the Worldwide Escape Artist Relay, and I thought she'd be perfect for it. But at that point, she didn't think she was ready. She didn't think the world was ready for a female escape artist. In 2009, I said to her, let me put this on YouTube. If we get any negative comments, we'll take it down. It did amazing. And so I convinced her to be able to do this underwater leap of faith, a much simpler version of what we do today. So that's kind of how we got here. It exploded from there. The CBS Evening News, the Today Show, the Boston Globe have all kind of jumped on this story. If you got a chance to take a look at the Virginia pilot today, they did a wonderful story on IBM and Alex in terms of why this is right, that we really need magic in our times right now. And so, what I'd like to be able to do is give you a chance to be able to see what this really is. So I'm going to need a volunteer from the audience. Can I get somebody to be able to help me to authenticate the chains and kind of look at what she's going to be able to do? Somebody? I would love 200 if you really have. Oh, great. Can I take a round of applause? Thanks so much. One of the death-defying things you're going to do is touch these chains because they've been in the heat for this long. But okay, can you just kind of? I'm going to do something a little crazy. This is fun. Do you mind just looking at it, just making sure that there's no holes to it? I don't mean to get you wet, but I also didn't want to burn the flesh off. Yeah. Great. It's heavy too? Okay, good. So this is 25 feet of chain. We've got another 5 feet of chain to be able to hold her hands to her feet. Okay. We also have locks. Okay. We actually have 3 different types of locks. Reason being, they're not all keyed the same. Want to make sure if for some reason someone thought we've got a key, though it's awful tough to use a key and see underwater, but if we did, that's what's there. So do you want to just open those just for me? Open one, just make sure. Give them a pull. One of the big things, kind of make sure that they are actually real locks. We'll go through. Again, I invite if anybody else wants to check it out. Okay. They open, they close. And again, key differently again. I'm going to ask that you take the keys, Bruce, when we do this. Okay? Lastly, we've kept them out of the sun. cuffs. So what's different about this as a woman, no woman has had this much on in an underwater escape, and this will be more than what Harry wore in his bridge jump. So Bruce, if you wouldn't mind kind of helping me, we'll begin to start doing this. So first and foremost, Alex. Kind of check those, just kind of make sure. Okay, if you want to go even a little further on that one, you certainly can.
Just like that.
Okay, good. If you want to keep those just kind of a pull, just kind of make sure that they're good. Okay, so handcuffs and leg cuffs. We then do two different locks. It's time to give the keys to you, okay? It's all a little simple. Bruce, if you just want to kind of give these a tug, just make sure that, in fact, okay, 2 keys. The next part of this is 25 feet of chain. So the reason why we have the chain here is so she can't lift her arms up. She couldn't possibly get to the surface. This is why we've got Chesapeake Bay flags. So, Bruce, if you would just kind of help me with this. It's easy. What we'll do is, oh, that's tight. We'll get that checked. We'll give you enough key. Each time we go around, we're going to put another padlock on. So we're going to pull hard. Will you do me a favor? Pull hard on this. Bruce, as you want. Bruce, I'm going to need one of those keys. Bruce, honestly, pull as tight as you can. It doesn't even bother me. I don't even feel it. All right, got it? Let's do this. So we're going to put one on one arm. We're going to do every time we're going to do just over the side. Pull really tight here, just make sure that she's tight. As tight as you want that. And go right there. Now, the way we're going to do this next chain is harnessing. So that she can't, it makes it tough to be able to move in it. Up this way. Will you get me the big heavy lock? Yep. So what we're going to do in this is, most times with chaining like this, you go pretty low, you don't go near the neck. We're going to go right to the top. So Bruce, if you would, just go one right back here. Bruce, you want to just authenticate everything's cool, they're all moved, that nothing can happen? Tight. So, just to recap, she's got more chains and shackles She's more heavily restrained than any woman in magic doing an underwater escape. She's got more than Harry Houdini did. But Alex wanted to go a step further for IBM. So we're going to do something that no escape artist has ever done. There's something called FRC in freediving. It's a new and different way of doing things. And this is the reason why we have Chesapeake Bay Diving with us. Marlena Shockey is a scuba diver. She owns Chesapeake Bay Diving, and she's here. There's little things that are life and death. This one's life and death. That's why we've got Marlena here. So thank you so much. She's also going to be videoing because we're going to be, if she's successful, Ripley's going to do this, believe it or not. What she's going to do for the very first time is something called FRC, functional residual capacity. Most escape artists, when they do this escape, when you do any underwater escape, what do? You suck in as much air as you possibly can, and you go under with full lungs. That's your margin of error. When Harry did underwater escapes, Harry would always say, failure means a drowning death. Alex, for the very first time, is going to do something called an exhale dive. So what you'll see is as she begins to, and she's slowly kind of breathing out, you see it's not that kind of labored in and out hyperventilation that you always see in an underwater escape. She's trying to get herself as calm as she possibly can. Before she goes down, you will see her visibly blow out so that she does have air in her lungs. She will go down and try to escape more than any woman has ever done, but without a full set of lungs. Okay? I would invite you, if you like, to try to do it with her. Okay? Blow your air out. Most people can hold their breath 45 seconds to a minute. Blow your air out and try to hold your breath. My guess would be you'll get 10 to 20 seconds. We're going to hope that Alex is going to go fast on this, or Bill's going to lose it. So we're hoping that she's going to get out in 35 seconds. So this is why we talked about this being breathtaking. It really is breathtaking. Alex, we'll go on you whenever you're ready. Is for her to get out of her hands quickly. That's 15 seconds. Okay, she's gone to her feet, so obviously she had a little bit of a problem with her hands. That's 30 seconds. That's 45 seconds. That's a minute. Now it's getting the chains. She at least got the cuffs off. Now it's getting the chains off. She's out! Thank you so much. And actually, we'll be around, so if anyone wants to be able to ask questions or do anything, again, thank you for having us and enjoy the conference. take any thanks, right? I didn't do a thing.
Thank you.
I did. Oh my God, thank you so much. Oh, thank you, yeah, that's right. Bruce did his job. Bruce gave us back the keys. Thank you, Bruce.
That was very good. Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you. Oh, thank you. Thank you. Thank you for your help.